My name is Hannah Allen. I'm 33 years old. I've been married for 5 years, but I still don't have any children. Of course, there's a reason for that, but my husband thinks I'm infertile. My mother-in-law, who moved in with us right after we got married, says it's my fault that we don't have any children after 5 years of marriage. You should divorce this woman. If you don't have any children, there won't be anyone to carry on the family name. She says that all the time. I have a younger sister, Mary. When I got married, Mary started visiting frequently. Usually, my husband Tom mostly talks to my mother-in-law, but when my sister brings her 3-year-old son over, he looks so happy talking to them. By the way, my sister is a single mother. Even though I can't have children, my unmarried sister does, which I find unfair. Because we don't have children, my husband treats our nephew like his own child whenever he visits. He seems to have a lot of fun with Mary too. Since she's my sister, I suppose he must be treating her well. I forced myself to think that I should be grateful. But the day came when all my efforts fell apart. That day, as usual, Mary and my nephew were visiting. My nephew was having fun on my mother-in-law's lap. While watching them, I noticed my husband and Mary getting all touchy-feely. What the heck is this? I did a double take, then a triple take. My sister seemed happy being touched, and she was leaning on my husband, laughing. This isn't normal, right? They look like a married couple. No, you could even say they look like a family, including mother-in-law. My mother-in-law was smiling at them too, making it clear they were like a family. I couldn't help but say something about how overly affectionate they were being. Even if she's your sister-in-law, I don't think you should be touching her like that. I knew saying something like that would probably get me yelled at or lead to snide comments, and my heart would be torn to shreds. Then my husband took it a step further. He actually pulled my sister in for a hug. Why not? I prefer her over an infertile woman like you. Huh? What are you talking about? I'm saying I chose Mary. I couldn't understand what he meant. I looked at my mother-in-law, and she was grinning. They're in on this together. Yeah, I like Tom too. I'm gonna be happy with him and the baby. So, sis, please get a divorce. Wait, what do you mean? Why are you surprised? I thought you would have figured it out by now. You're really clueless, sis. Hannah never thinks about anything. She's always spacing out, and I never know what's going on in her head. Oh, totally. She's always been like that. I don't even know why Tom chose her. Maybe it was to meet Mary. Even I don't get it. But now we can be a family. Yeah, and this kid is mine too. It's only natural for us to be together. What? I couldn't believe my ears. Sorry, what did you just say? I said this kid is mine. We started seeing each other right after we got married. She got pregnant soon after. Yeah. The day you got married and I visited, I just felt a spark. We met up soon after and I got pregnant. Isn't it amazing? We're a perfect match. So that's why Mary was visiting so often. I thought it was strange. We were never that close growing up. It didn't make sense for her to start coming over right after I got married. So, we're getting a divorce, right? I have no objection to the divorce. My relationship with my husband was practically non-existent. We barely interacted and were sleeping in separate rooms. Getting a divorce would actually be a relief. I really wanted to get divorced sooner. But since I had a mistress, I was worried about having to pay alimony. But now that I've been promoted to team leader and got a pay raise, I can afford to pay you. So, let's get divorced. Oh, I see. Being married to you has been a waste of money on food. I've always thought it was unfair. Feeding you for nothing. But once we're divorced, I won't have to do that anymore. This is such a relief. I feel the same relief. I had to cook for this family every day. It has been a pain. Now I can proudly say this child is my grandchild. I'm so happy. It was embarrassing that other people had grandchildren, but we didn't. Thank you, Mary. No, thank you, Mother. I'm so happy to live with such a kind mother-in-law. I look forward to it. This is like a game of trickery between a fox and a raccoon. I watched my mother-in-law, my husband, and Mary. The only normal person here is probably my little nephew. Mary, you're good at cooking, aren't you? Just average. No, I'm sure you're great. Tom chose you. Hannah's cooking was always bland. Bland food isn't tasty. She probably never thought about Tom. But Mary, you cook with Tom in mind, so I'm relieved. Say whatever you want. It doesn't hurt or bother me now. Compared to everything I've endured, this is nothing. This relationship was bound to fall apart eventually. Looking back, there were many red flags from the start. Before we got married, there was no mention of living with his mother, but he insisted on it right after the wedding. My husband, who was kind before marriage, changed right after. He would leave the house and not come back for a long time, grinning while talking on the phone. He didn't have a lock on his phone when we were dating, but after we got married, he would get furious if I even touched it. Yet, he was possessive. He didn't want me to work, saying a woman should take care of the home. I thought he loved me but was just bad at showing it. But around that time, my sister started coming over to our newlywed home. I never thought my sister would come over right after we got married, but when she did, my husband seemed happy. When I tried to talk to him, he acted annoyed and told me not to interrupt his conversations with my mother-in-law. Yet, he was completely different with my sister. As this continued, I started thinking about divorce. There's no way we're gonna have kids if we stay married. It'd be better to separate. However, my husband had forced me to quit my job right after we got married. I didn't know how I'd support myself after a divorce. That was my dilemma. But now, I've made up my mind. Fine, let's get divorced. Yes. Thank you, sis. Even though divorce was already a done deal among these three, what was the yes about? But, you know he's a total mama's boy, right? Are you okay with that? Huh? No way. Whenever I visit, he's always by my side. Oh, you're just jealous, sis. You're jealous because I'm taking him from you. How pathetic. Is that what you think? Of course. He always treats me well when I visit. Well, let's see if you still think that after hearing this. I took out my phone and played a recording. It was a conversation between Tom and my mother-in-law. They sounded like lovers. Tom's sweet voice and my mother-in-law's saintly, gentle voice. What? Stop it. Oh, what's wrong? Isn't this your usual conversation? Nothing to be embarrassed about. It's embarrassing to hear your own voice. Yeah, why are you so insensitive? They said, but it wasn't really about not wanting to hear their own voices. The recording was so sickeningly sweet that it made anyone who heard it uncomfortable. Well, in a way, it is embarrassing. But there was one person who didn't understand at all. That was Mary. So what about this? What? It's nice that they're close. What? They're parent and child, so it's natural. Really? Are you okay with that? How rude! Do you think our parents and we act like this? Of course not. Our family is very straightforward. The only straightforward one is my sister. But I think it's normal for parents and children to be close. What's weird is that you recorded this. Do you have some strange hobby, sis? What? You're just suspicious of parent-child conversations because Tom wasn't kind to you. But both Tom and Mother are kind to me. Hearing this doesn't bother me. In fact, I'm happy thinking I can join in these conversations from now on. Mary said triumphantly, and both my husband and mother-in-law seemed relieved. But I wondered if Mary really believed what she was saying. Well, there are other things that would be shocked to hear. Like what? Nothing. There's nothing else. Yeah, we're just a close mother and son. That's it. They're desperate. Mary, seeing how frantic they are, do you still want to marry this man? Of course. We have a child together. Look, sis, you wouldn't understand because you don't have kids. But when you do, small things don't bother you anymore. If you get worked up over every little thing, it's the kids who suffer. Exactly. You're just jealous because you're infertile and Mary has a child. Stop trying to ruin our happiness. Yeah. What's the fun in destroying someone else's happiness? How rotten can you be? It's good that Tom and his mother are close. There's nothing to worry about. It's much better than them fighting. And mother has accepted me, so there's nothing to worry about. Are you serious? Of course. You just don't understand. So hurry up and sign the divorce papers and get out of this house. Then I can move in right away. I stared at Mary. Mary stared back with a determined look. It was as if she refused to lose. I see, I'll ask again, you're serious? You won't regret this no matter what? Stop nagging. Of course. All right. If you're that adamant, I'll give you the divorce. I had been thinking about divorce anyway, and Mary's words were just the push I needed. I was grateful, in a way. But was it really okay to trust my not-so-friendly sister? And what about Tom and my mother-in-law? Oh well. What happens to them isn't my concern anymore. You finally made up your mind. You took so long that it was annoying to watch. Thanks for your patience. Here, sign the divorce papers. After you sign, get out immediately. Why did Mary have the divorce papers ready? Was she that eager to kick me out? Whatever. I'll sign the papers and start focusing on my own life. I signed the divorce papers, gathered my things, and left the house. Of course, I still had many belongings there. I planned to come back later to get them. For now, I returned to my parents' home. My parents were surprised to see me. They were expecting Mary and my nephew, but instead, it was me who came back. I told my parents about the divorce drama that had just unfolded. They were shocked and told me good job. They also expressed concern, saying, "Are Tom and his mother really okay with this?" But I thought they were a perfect match. Both were selfish and only cared about themselves. I doubt they would have any regrets. However, about half a month later, I got a call from Mary. Oh, hi Mary. Did you get married yet? I did, but listen. As soon as we got married, his attitude changed. His attitude changed? Oh, it's starting. What's with those two? They were the same as before, right until we submitted the marriage papers. As soon as we did, everything changed. It's unbelievable. What happened? Of course, I knew. It was probably the same as what happened to me. Those two are crazy. Before, even if I was close to Tom, mother-in-law wouldn't say anything. But as soon as we got married, she started telling us not to get too close. And she used to dote on our kid, saying he was her beloved grandchild, but now she doesn't even look after him. She says it's our responsibility as parents to take care of our own child. That's all you have to say? Those two are too close. They're always all over each other. They go out to eat, go to the movies, everywhere together. I told you he was a mama's boy. I even played the recording for you. But you said they were just close. Yeah, but I didn't think it was this bad. Whenever I get close to him, mother-in-law gets jealous. We're newlyweds, so it's natural to be close. And she tells me to take care of the kid. If she wants someone to look after him, she should do it. I gave her a grandchild. That logic won't work. And when I sit next to Tom, she pinches our kid to make him cry and then kicks me out because the kid is crying. Isn't that the worst? I wouldn't know because I didn't have kids. And when I cook, If it's not something Tom likes, he gets mad. Even though he said he'd eat anything, when I cook what I like, he yells at me for trying to feed him that. Yeah, I went through the same thing. She says I'm just as useless as you were. I'm basically their maid. In that house, the wife is the maid. This is ridiculous. What's the point of getting married if there's no peace of mind? Exactly. I never had a single day of peace, even though I longed for it. He said women should stay at home, so he made me quit my job. Yeah, I went through that too. I actually don't mind not working, but I don't want to do housework either. And that old hag does nothing but sit around and bark orders. She's annoying and makes me feel so excluded. Exactly. I was treated like a maid and constantly felt my existence was being denied. At night, even though I sleep in the same room as Tom, we can't have any private time because mother-in-law is always lurking around. It's disgusting. When we try to be close, she coughs loudly to interrupt. Tom loses interest, and then the next morning, she makes snide comments. On top of that, she keeps insisting we have a second child. Isn't that crazy? That's why, even though I was married for 5 years, I couldn't have a child. It wasn't an environment where having children was possible. Yet, they blamed me for not having kids. So they called you infertile? Yes. That's the kind of people they are. But this is just the beginning. What? There's more? Well, if you love Tom, you'll get through it. What's there to get through? You'll find out soon enough. What? Tell me. See for yourself. I had confirmed if she was serious, so now she has to solve it on her own, no matter what happens. I laughed as I hung up the phone. For the next 3 months, the occasional calls from Mary were the same. A barrage of complaints. But it's all what I had warned her about, so she brought it on herself. The difference was, Mary was strong and fought for Tom against my mother-in-law. Tom wanted to be close with both his mother and Mary. This wishy-washy attitude annoyed both women, who started to gang up on him. Not wanting to anger his mother, Tom scolded Mary. But Mary, furious, would then overpower Tom with her anger. If it were the other way around, my mother-in-law would cry, putting Tom in another difficult spot. During my time, he could just silence me and that would be the end of it, but he realized that Mary wasn't like that and was shocked. Then, a few days later, Mary stormed into our parents' house in a rage. Hey, sis, listen to this. Oh, what's wrong? Tom has a huge debts. Really? I noticed a lot of strange envelopes arriving every month. I asked the old hag about them, but she just dismissed me. Since she acted like she didn't know, I decided to ignore it too. Then one day, a salesman in an expensive suit came and asked for Tom. The old hag answered the door and lied, saying he wasn't home, even though he was. Tom didn't even come out to meet him. I got curious and followed the salesman when he left to ask what was going on. Turns out he was a debt collector. I was shocked. Finally, she found out. Tom has debts. I asked how much he owed, but they wouldn't tell me since I'm not the debtor. I insisted I had the right to know as his wife, but those people are tight-lipped. Then I confronted Tom, and he admitted it was $140,000. You're strong. What? What do you mean? Mary, you are. He didn't want to talk about it, did he? That doesn't matter. I figured out he had debts, so I have the right to know how much is his wife. So, are you going to help him pay it off? Are you joking? He's the one who borrowed the money. I don't need to pay it back. That's so like Mary. She has no intention of sticking together through thick and thin. So, I pressed him to explain why this happened. He snapped at me. What's his problem? He said it has nothing to do with me. If it has nothing to do with you, then that's fine, right? But what if the debt collectors come after me? That's why I asked. And the old hag said the same thing, that it has nothing to do with me. They share their problems as mother and son, which is why their relationship is so weird. Well, who knows? And then he had the nerve to say, if you're going to interfere, you should pay it off. Oh, so he hasn't paid it off yet. What? What do you mean? That debt has been there since we first got married. It was a smaller amount at first. What is that debt about anyway? Tom works, right? Then, why does he owe so much? Yes, he works, but mother-in-law spends even more. What? So it's the old hag's debts? Pretty much. She has a shopping addiction. She can't feel secure unless she's buying things. Tom knows about it, but he can't say anything because it's his mother. Why should Tom have to pay off the old hag's debt? They have a special relationship. Who knows why? This is so annoying. Eventually, your savings will disappear. What? What do you mean? Mother-in-law will use it up. What? But I have the seal, so. As long as she has the ATM card, she can withdraw money, right? Oh, that's true. We talked about the card's password recently. I was happy she included me in the conversation because she usually doesn't. But you should check. No way, that would be stealing. Those people don't see it that way. They think what's theirs is theirs, and what's yours is theirs too. That's how I ended up penniless. When I asked to get a part-time job, they said it would look bad for the family if the daughter-in-law worked. They freely use the wife's savings, but working is a no-go. That's how they are. They're fine with using the wife's savings, but won't allow her to work. They share their secrets to strengthen their bond. That's ridiculous, I can't stand it. Good luck to you. I didn't know what Mary would do, but she hung up after saying she couldn't tolerate it. Knowing Mary, she would probably do something drastic. I waited eagerly for her report, but half a year went by without a word. Then, one day, I got a call from Tom. I'm in trouble, Mary disappeared. He didn't sound too upset. More like he was relieved that the constantly complaining Mary was gone. When he said she disappeared, I felt like the bomb I was expecting didn't go off. I had hoped she'd do something that would leave him unable to recover, but that didn't happen. Still, if even Mary had given up on him, no one else would ever want to be with Tom. She took the kid too. I see. But you weren't taking care of the child anyway, so it shouldn't be a problem, right? Yeah, Mom says she prefers me over her grandchild anyway. But there's a problem. Mary is demanding alimony and child support. Wow, child support too? That's a lot. Yeah, it's not a small amount. My debt keeps growing, and now I have to pay that too. Well, that's not my problem. I know, but you knew this, didn't you? Knew what? The Mary you chose has been married and divorced multiple times before. What? Really? You didn't know? I guess you just submitted the marriage papers without checking her records. Yeah, I never thought her past would be so messy. She never stays married for long. She always leaves in a way that blames the other person and collects alimony each time. So your sister is that kind of woman. And your wife was that kind of person. But with a husband who's always in debt, aren't they a perfect match? Both equally irresponsible. Isn't that going a bit far? I don't think so. Besides, you chose that kind of woman yourself. Well, that's in the past now. Generous. By the way, are you sure that nephew is even yours? What? He's my kid, right? Who knows? Back then, she had about 3 other guys she was seeing. She also had one-night stands. She didn't think anything of it. She's the complete opposite of me. She was that kind of woman? Oh, come on. You're no different. You had a mistress while you were married. Well, men and women are. We're the same species with different parts. Why didn't you tell me all this when I chose Mary? Would you have believed me? You just wanted a new housekeeper. You thought I was infertile. I couldn't have kids because of your mom. And you believed that child was yours. We're both to blame, aren't we? If I had known this before we got married, I might not have divorced you. Oh, don't worry about that. I wanted the divorce and I'm very happy. Though my parents were worried about you marrying Mary. She was that kind of woman. She increased her savings that way. Have you already tried to access her savings? No, when I tried to withdraw, the password had been changed. I see. So, she hired a lawyer? That's right. If she hired a lawyer, you have to pay. Good luck. Hey, help me out. I have my mom's debt, alimony, and child support, and I'm not even sure if the kid is mine. If you really want to fix this, hire a lawyer. That's your only option. I can't afford that. Can't you come back and help? Why? The house is a mess. It's unbearable. You want a housekeeper? Yes. If you can pay me $8,000, I'll come. I can't afford that. Then give up. Don't say that. In the end, unable to afford a lawyer, my ex-husband paid alimony and child support to my sister. He probably had to take on more debt to do it. When it was my turn, he borrowed money because he had just been promoted and could pay it back, but he never learned his lesson. Eventually, the debts piled up, and he was the only one working tirelessly to repay them. Meanwhile, his mother stayed in their filthy house, waiting for him to catch the next woman. But that only lasted so long, and finally, they lost the house to repay the debts. In addition to the $140,000 debt, he had 2 alimony payments and child support. Losing the house was almost a relief. They moved into a rundown apartment. My ex-husband asked his mother to work, but she silenced him with fake tears and couldn't stop shopping. I saw him the other day working a night job in addition to his day job. He looked exhausted, with dark circles under his eyes, a pitiful sight. As for me, I found a new job and started a new chapter in my life. I've discovered the joy of working, and I can't help but feel happy every day. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm determined to live my life to the fullest.